All right. Today's video is the best way to lose weight in 2025 if you're over 40 or if you're over 50 or over 60, quite honestly. And the first question might be, dude, 2025, it's only October 2024. Is this video clickbait? And the answer to that is no, it is not clickbait. The second question might be, 2025, are you trying to like trend surf some kind of YouTube title thing? Maybe. But I have a rationale. And if you stick with me here, I'll jump into it first, real quick, and let you know what that is. Let's go right into this here. All right. So 2025, why now? So the reality is 80 to 92% of New Year's resolutions fail. So I don't think that would shock most people. But when you look at it as a number and you really think through maybe some of the things that you've done in the past, I don't know, it resonates with me. So the other reality is if we're over 40, we're over 50, or we're over 60, I'm 55. Our bodies are not like the nimble fighter jets they used to be that could launch off of an aircraft carrier with a short runway. We are now, unfortunately, large lumbering cargo planes that need a much longer runway to get going. And so that is why I'm suggesting that to lose weight in 2025, the best way to do that is to start now in October of 2024. You're going to need a longer runway. It's going to start getting colder if you live in the north, and you're probably going to be inside, maybe a little bit more sedentary. So let's get out and start doing some of this stuff in advance. And you're also going to be coming up against the holidays. And I would imagine, I haven't done any research on this, but I would imagine between Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, maybe through the Super Bowl in there. I know it's like into February, but those are probably like the 5 biggest weight gaining holidays in the United States anyway. So let's maybe get out in front of that too. So that's why I think it's imperative to start now in 2025. And I'm going to share in this video really 4 simple steps that anybody can follow to finally get ahead of this process and maybe start getting some results that you haven't seen in the past. And I'm going to share some statistics that maybe you can relate to. If there's anything that you see that you can relate to, I'll point out the ones that personally affect me. But drop a comment if there's something that you see that you can relate to. So let's move on in here to step 1. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So I think this honestly is the step 1. It's one for a reason. It's the first thing we have to do. It's also the most important. So first part of step 1 is determine your why. Okay. And I'll give you a quick story. So in a former life, I was in medical device industry, and I was meeting with a bariatric surgeon, and he shared something that stuck with me all this time, regardless of what my weight is. Just him saying this has resonated with me. And he said, Mike, I can fix people's body. I can't fix their mind. So one of the reasons why I think that failure rate on the New Year's resolutions is north of 80% is because people don't have a strong enough why. And I'll share my why. I have more than one, but I'll share a couple here real quick. And then you need to think about what your why is, and is it powerful enough to get you through the days when things maybe aren't going great for you. So my why, first of all, I'm 55. And aging thus far hasn't really bothered me that much. 40 didn't bother me. 50 didn't even really bother me. But when I hit 55, I think I got to the point where I was like, wow, now I'm really close to 60. And it's not that 60 is old. So if you're 60 or over, I'm not saying that at all. But I've come to realize that while 60 might be the new 40, it's not going to be the new 40 if you're overweight, out of shape, and have chronic health issues. Not by a long shot. In fact, the 60s might be the downward spiral. The other part of this for my why is as a hey Vera, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining. It's also for me. I've been an ER nurse. I started this later in life, and I've been an ER nurse long enough now, a little over 5 years, where I have consistently seen the effects of being overweight and poor life decisions on people of all age ranges, honestly, both genders, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all ethnicities. I see them in the emergency department every day in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I want for myself as I realize I'm getting closer to 60, I want for myself a healthy and active lifestyle as I age. I want to retire early. And one of the reasons why I want to retire early is because I want to enjoy life. And part of enjoying life is going to be able to go out and do things. And if I don't want to be the guy who's on the little scooter going through wherever I'm at, whether it's, the Grand Canyon tour, or if I take my son to Disney or whatever. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who, like I just recently went to the Outer Banks, who was able to run on the beach with his dogs and his son and laugh and have fun. And so that's my why. So you really got to think about what your why is. That's the first part of step one. The second part of step one is you're going to need to have honesty and introspection. And this might be difficult in some ways. And I gave an example in my last video where I talked about the ideal body weight, where I was watching a particular YouTuber who talked about finances, but she just happened to kind of make a video on aging. And she said, I'm tired of worrying about being size 6. And I understand that. Like, there's the part I think you can jettison, society's imposing things on you, right? You can say, I'm told I'm not going to worry about that. So just the vanity aspect of being size 6 for a woman, I get that. However, what you shouldn't do is put that to the side, the vanity part, but then also end up by default embracing being overweight and out of shape, because it's not gonna go well for you over time. So I threw some statistics in here that maybe some people can relate to. 24% of people attempt weight loss 1 or 2 times. 28% 3 to 10 times. I'm in that 28%. And then 11% persist after 10 attempts. Some people, it's like, I don't know. Weight loss is like their lifestyle, I guess. They never really get there. So I'm going to try to share in steps 2, 3, and 4 how we're going to get there in 2025. Rick. So that's not coming in very good. I apologize. That quote is awful. So I'll read it if you can't see it very well. But anyway, so step 2 for your weight loss is to have an initial goal. And so I say that the initial goal should be 10% of your current body weight. And here's the reality. For me, 10% of my current body weight when I started this process got me from 210 to 190. I realize some of you may have significantly more weight to lose than just that amount. And so you may have to do this a couple times, and that's okay. But I think one of the biggest reasons why we fail is we take off too big a bite in the beginning and try too hard, and then you get frustrated or you have setbacks and you just completely fall off the wagon. The other thing that's important, and here's what this quote comes from the American Heart Association, and I'll read it in case you can't see it. I apologize again. But it says, lifestyle changes that help you maintain a 3 to 5% weight loss are likely to result in clinically meaningful improvements in blood glucose and triglycerides, and lower your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Greater weight loss, 5 to 10%, can even help reduce blood pressure and improve blood cholesterol. And so that's why I'm saying 10%. Let's try to max out on our initial goal, not have it be so big that it seems insurmountable, but big enough that it's worth achieving and that you'll be excited about by the time you hit it, to keep going beyond that. So that's step 2, 10% of your body weight. So I would recommend start tonight if you want, tomorrow. Get on the scale first thing tomorrow morning, weigh yourself, and then just determine whatever 10% of that is, then that's your first weight loss goal, and just start getting after it, okay? Step 3. So this is step 3 for me, move more. We can't be sedentary. We can't sit on the couch. We can't sit in the recliner. Okay. It's just, there's studies now showing that sitting is as, I want to say dangerous, as disastrous to your health or more than smoking. So think about that for a minute. That's crazy when you think about it, but 10,000 steps per day, that's my goal. There's studies out there that suggest that it's less. There's a whole slew of videos on this topic on YouTube of people talking about more or less. But I want to break down this. Quote from this PhD at the KU Medical Center, specifically talking about 10,000 steps. I'll read the whole thing and then we'll kind of break it down. And this is why I'm harping on it. So one, I think there's science behind it. And two, I have personal results that back this up. So it says for patients interested in weight loss, when coupled with a modest reduction in calorie intake, progressing to 10,000 steps per day has also been shown to enhance long-term weight loss and the prevention of weight regain following weight loss. That is probably the most powerful endorsement of 10,000 steps a day that I have ever seen. And so we'll break it down. So the first thing is coupled with modest reduction in calorie intake. And we'll get to that in a second. But so we're going to be doing two things here to start our 2025 weight loss. So we're going to start moving more. Then we'll talk about the next step in the next slide. But we got to do them together. And modest means we're not killing ourselves. And I'll get to that in a second too. So then we're progressing to 10,000 steps a day. Now, in one of my previous videos, one of the comments was, wow, 10,000 steps is a lot. I mean, how many is that? Like 5, 6, 7 miles? Yeah, it's probably 4 to 5, depending upon your stride length. And you might say, how in the heck am I going to do that? And maybe it would be very hard to do that. And that's okay. That's why it says progressing. All right. So just start doing more each day incrementally and work toward that goal. I can tell you that at the very end of this video, I'm going to show you my week 19 results. And for 19 weeks, I have tried to walk 10,000 steps per day. Was I successful every single day? No, I was not. But I was probably over 90% of the time if I go back and look at it. And I can tell you it works. And you'll see that at the end of my results as well. So don't worry if you can't quite get to 10,000. Work toward it. And I have tips and techniques if you look at some of my previous videos on how to help you get to that 10,000. And then I think here's the most important thing. Doing this has been shown to enhance long-term, and that's what we're looking for, sustainable. And I'm going to share some statistics on the next slide that maybe you can relate to. I know I certainly can, about it not being a long-term process. Because if you're one of those people who've tried multiple times to lose weight, you understand that part of the issue is this sustainable? Can I do this the rest of my life? And again, I'm 50. I'm talking to people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. I want this to be something that you can do and sustain into your 80s, so that when you walk into the ER when you're 85, you're walking in there and you're just coming in to get a flu test because you have a cough, not getting wheeled in because you can't walk and you're overweight and you're having heart failure. And then lastly, the most important thing here is the prevention of weight regain. And if you're like me, you've tried things in the past, you've lost it, you've been successful for a little while, and then you put it back on. And in some cases, put it back on and more so. So I think if you take nothing else from this video, I would say this is the most important quote of this whole thing. All right. Oh, James says he's 58. All right. You're right. Exactly right in the same. Oh, I'm sorry, Vera. And Vera, tell me. So I assume I just said he. You're probably a she. I apologize if I'm goofing that up. I'm still new at this, and I haven't had a lot of interaction on my live stream, so I apologize. But anyway, back to the presentation here. All right. So step 4. Sorry, keto people. I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to diet. All right. It's not going to happen. I'm going to go back to step 3, modest reduction in calorie intake. Why am I going to say we're not going to diet? Well, for one, because diets fail. They've failed me, and I'm going to share some stuff here with you that's going to help prove that out. So what I'm talking about is eating better, incremental changes over time. And I'll share here in the next couple slides some very real examples of how to eat better. Okay, so first stat, greater than 50% of the weight lost in diets comes back within 2 years. And you might be able to relate to that. 83% of dieters gain more than they lost more than 2 years post-diet. So you start a diet, 2 years later, you're bigger than you were when you started the whole thing. 95% of individuals who eliminate specific food categories revert to their original weight. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. 95% of individuals who eliminate specific food categories, I'm talking to you, paleo, keto, etc., revert to their original weight. And then here's an interesting one that I didn't realize. The average diet journey for women is 4 weeks, and then you're back to the cookies and ice cream. And for men, 6 weeks, back to the cookies and ice cream. So what does that say about men? Either we're more stubborn, or it just takes us longer to figure out that we don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that we're doofuses. But so if you're like me, diets have never worked. And I assume if you're watching a video on the best way to lose weight in 2025, it's because you need to. So we're not going to diet. We're just going to try to eat better incrementally. Remember, modest calorie reduction. And we can reduce calories simply by making better choices. And I've used ridiculous examples in the past. I'll give one quick one here again. It's just the ubiquitous McDonald's analogy. If you would normally eat a Big Mac, a large fry, and a Coke, if you would simply get a double cheeseburger, a medium fry, and a Diet Coke, you would literally reduce your calories by half, and you're still eating junk food. All right. And then obviously we know if you would substitute McDonald's with, I don't know, some kind of tasty chicken dish with a starch and a vegetable, you're even eating better. So that's what we're talking about here. So I think if you can follow these steps, but just remember the very first thing you have to do, you have to figure out your why, and you have to be honest with yourself. And I'm gonna share with you my week 19 results. It's part of my personal weight loss journey where I'm trying to create this sustainable program where each week I give anyone who wants to see on the internet what I've done for the week as my accountability method. And I'll step through it here and I'll show you how I have created a way to keep myself honest in each of these categories. All right. All right. So for week 19, as part of my 10,000 steps a day, I will say that in week 19, in days 1 through 4, we were at the Outer Banks. So I'm walking on the beach, I'm running on the beach, I'm playing on the beach. On days 5, 6, and 7, we're back on the road, working our way back home. So a little bit more difficult to get the steps in. But you can see here on day 1, it does one thing. If you week 18, we had just gotten there, right, to the Outer Banks. So there was a lot of traveling. So on day 1, coming out of the gate, like I'm trying to get more steps in. And my goal with the 10,000 steps, the way you keep that average up is when you can do more, because you'll have days like day 6 where you fall short, and you don't beat yourself up because you fall short. You just do more when you can, and hopefully it averages out, right? But here's the accountability for steps. You write it down. You have a journal. You don't keep track. I mean, you can keep track of your steps. I use an Apple Watch, and Apple Watch has a log of it, right? But that's like keeping track of your bank account digitally. It's not the same as when you're transferring cash in your hand, or it's not the same as when, if you know, we're all older than 40 here. It's not the same as when we used to write it in the ledger of our checkbook. And there's actually a Japanese budgeting technique, and I'm not even going to try to say the name because I'd butcher it, but where they literally write down, and they're good savers because they write everything down and they reflect on it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you, write it down. Don't use a journal. I'm talking to you, Jesse. That's my wife. So it might be cool to be a tech geek, but with regard to this, we need to go old school and write it down. All right. All right. So for eating better, I told you to give you some real world examples of how to eat better. So here is a week of my eating. I'm on vacation. I share this every week. People probably are like, dude, I don't care. That's fine. For me, it's partially my accountability tool it's my accountability tool to put this up on the internet, right? I'm writing it down in my book and I'm sharing it here. It also maybe gives people ideas, but I want to step through this, just a couple of examples of how I'm eating better, but I'm still enjoying myself on vacation. All right. So on Sunday, the first day there, if you look over in the snack category, I had a protein bar, I had a Diet Coke, I had some carrots and celery and hummus, but I also had some beers because I'm at the beach, and I had a Reese s'more at the campfire. You know what I didn't have? 3 or 4 Reese s'mores. So that's one example. On the next day, I had, a Western scramble, an egg scramble, deal. But then I had an apple ugly. If you've ever been to the Outer Banks, there's a place called, I think it's called Blossoms. You have to go. It's like the best bakery in the world. They have this like cinnamon apple muffin, I guess, but it's like, I don't know, it's like almost the size of your head. So I didn't eat the whole thing. I ate like half of it, or yeah, probably half of it. I think Jesse ate the other half or a third of it or whatever. But I ate some of it. It was delicious. Okay. So I still enjoyed that. I had a half a turkey sandwich. What didn't I have? Well, first of all, I didn't have in the United States, it's tough to buy bread. Okay. That's good for you. So in Thursday's video, we'll talk about a tool that Jesse and I are using to help us make better decisions at the grocery store. So I've got better bread than what I've had previously. And I'm only eating half a sandwich. And I'm not throwing chips on top of it, and I'm not throwing sodas on top of it. It's just a half a turkey sandwich, right? Still had the brewskis at night. In fact, I had beer a lot this week because we were at the beach. So you can get it done. Oh, and Jesse said, by the way, the apple ugly is an orange blossom in Cape Hatteras, and it's a donut fritter, and it's huge and it's delicious. And you can see we did it like apple ugly Monday, apple ugly Tuesday, apple ugly Wednesday. It was really good. One of those days we went back to try to get the chocolate ugly, which we never got because apparently they're really messy to make and no one likes to make them. So if you don't get there fast, you won't get the chocolate ugly. So if you want that, you got to be there first. All right. So that's it for losing weight in 2025, following those steps. Now, another part that I'm following now is lift heavy things. So move more, eat better, lift heavy things. That's my general sustainable 3-step process. And I have hit my goal weight. And so now I'm transitioning from weight loss journey to fitness journey. And eventually, if you follow the weight loss journey, you'll get to it too. And lifting heavy things should be part of that. Can it be part of your weight loss journey? It certainly can. I guess my only cautionary point would be don't overload yourself because again, we're over 40, 50, 60 and we're out of shape and overweight. So we don't injure yourself and don't overload yourself in the beginning. So this is the full body circuit that I've been trying to use. I've found for me that just doing a strength circuit, a simple strength circuit that I could do anywhere. And I'm doing this at the beach. I took dumbbells with us in our motorhome, and I can do push-ups anywhere, squats with dumbbells. Those are all exercises that I can do pretty much anywhere I go. If you don't have a motorhome and you fly or you Airbnb, there's gyms in hotels for sure. Again, you can just do body weight exercises. And then also I have a vanity goal of getting bigger arms. I've never had really big arms and I want to. And so I'm doing this 30-day challenge of trying to get bigger arms. Will it work? I'll share that in the next couple of videos. But it's just getting me back into lifting heavy things. And I was able to do that 3 times, which was my goal. So I was successful in doing that while I was at Cape Hatteras. And here's the results. And the results are at the end. I weighed in at 190.2. My goal weight is 190. I know that I was going to fluctuate anywhere, and I have been fluctuating anywhere between a low end of 188 and a high of about 192. And that's okay. I don't mind a little bit of a fluctuation. What I don't want to do is go back to the 220, 230 plus. I know I've been doing this long enough now that I know I can lose 3 or 4 pounds relatively easily. So I'm not going to restrict myself significantly on vacation, as evidenced by all those apple uglies that we ate. But I'm just going to make better choices overall, and it's going to work out in the long run. And I know it will for you too. So I'm just begging you, if you haven't started yet, think about your why and be honest with yourself. Eat better, move more, 10,000 steps a day, write it down, start tracking it, and start getting in this habit before 2025, before the holidays hit. And here's one other idea. I have an idea for a video. So there's a few of you on here watching. If you think this would be a good video idea, I'll throw it out there. But I have had an idea of literally doing like a this versus that on a traditional American Thanksgiving meal, like what it would look like if you were taking what in our house, what we'd have traditionally eaten during Thanksgiving when we were larger, and what we might do now. But even though we do it now, we'd still enjoy some of the traditional favorites and and not deprive ourselves. So anyway, that's the idea. If you think that's a good one, throw it in the comments. We'll consider it. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching. And until next week, move more, eat better, lift heavy things. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.